Welcome to the Real Deal in Real Estate. I'm Andrei Sakurik. I have a special privilege to have Kevin Ortner, the CEO and President of Renters Warehouse, the leading provider of rental real estate services, and the company managed over $3 billion in real estate. Kevin, good to have you, buddy.
Thanks for having me on.
How are you? So, what's the story of Renters Warehouse? Tell us how you started.
Yeah, so Renters Warehouse started as just a local property management company about 12 years ago, or coming up on 12 years ago in 2007, right here in Minneapolis, where we are. And I got involved with the business when we opened our first office in Phoenix, Arizona. And we were just local property managers trying to add some technology, maybe some innovative spins to how people were managing properties at the time. And after that, we started franchising the business. And between 2011 and 2015, we sold 28 franchises across the United States. And then that led us to, in 2015, we took on a private equity investment from a company called Northern Pacific Group. And we changed our strategy at that point. And rather than franchising exclusively, we started opening corporate locations around the country. And that's led us to have, what do we have today? We have 25 corporate offices across the country.
Wow, 25 offices.
And we have 17 franchise locations left, so that makes us our 42 markets. We manage over 22,000 homes. And just a couple months ago, we added the ability for investors to be able to buy and sell single-family homes through our online marketplace platform as well at renterswarehouse.com.
Okay, so what's the unfair advantage of Renters Warehouse? If I'm and who is the best customer?
Yeah, our big advantage really is we are for lack of a better term, a one-stop shop, right? So if you're a real estate investor and you want to get started in real estate, you own one home or you don't even own any at all yet, you can come to us and we're going to help you get some education, understand the landscape, understand an investment strategy, and then we're going to be able to help you buy that first property. If you're an investor that already has several homes, you can join our scale we have across the country and be able to get maintenance discounts, vendor discounts, and just use our team of professional property managers, which is over 200 today, across the country to help manage those homes and allow you to help grow that portfolio. So really, whether it's helping you on the buying side of your portfolio, maybe selling some of the homes in your portfolio, or in the middle, that tough work of property management, our team can take care of it for you.
Wow, that's awesome because I look at the most recent report, so about 70% of all residential homes owned by small mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
So it's an awesome service for people who are who are professional, who don't have time to manage themselves, and you provide such a nice service.
Yeah, it's what's interesting about this space is there's a lot of talk right now in the media, right, about how Wall Street's coming in and buying so many of the homes up, and these hedge funds are coming in, and Wall Street's buying Main Street, right? We hear that a lot. But at the end of the day, this asset class, single-family homes for rent, it's over 80% still owned by those who own fewer than 5 homes, right? So it's very much mom and pop investors. It's typical American couples trying to create some financial freedom and some wealth for themselves long-term down the road. And a lot of those people are still managing their homes themselves and doing all that work, the rent collection, finding tenants, all those kind of things, which some people like, but some people don't. And so we're really trying to provide that service, an institutional level product with data and reporting, analytics, and an understanding, almost like a stock investment, right? And be able to bring that down to the local investor who maybe owns 1 or 2 and really help them be able to achieve better returns on their property.
And you mentioned about the real estate services or education for, let's say if I'm a professional, I'm busy, I am an executive, and I really want to invest in real estate. So what kind of education they can get from Renters Warehouse and how you can help them to become better investors?
Sure. One of our core values at Renters Warehouse is to serve, right? And that isn't just provide great customer service and a client experience, but also we really believe in helping people understand this investment, right? And I think there's a lot of companies out there, if you've been paying attention to the real estate industry at all, there's a lot of opportunities to go and learn or take a $30,000 course from someone on how to invest in real estate, right? We don't have to do that. So we provide our education for free. So we do monthly client webinars exclusively for Renters Warehouse clients to talk about what's happening in the market cycles, what's a good investment, what's a hot market, what might that be, other basics, right? And so we also do some of the same thing for the public, people who aren't yet Renters Warehouse clients, You can check out our media and things at renterswarehouse.com. And we're just trying to get the word out there, get the education out there. We got a book I wrote last year and a half ago.
Yeah, actually, that's a great book. Like when you wrote it, I bought it right away from Amazon. So it's Rent Estate Revolution. Awesome book for people who just want to get started in real estate.
And this was one of our first kind of big entries into really trying to give education to the consumer and educate people who maybe aren't in the space yet why residential real estate can be such a good investment.
Yeah, why is it such a good investment?
You know, it's interesting. There's so many different levers you can pull with, especially smaller single-family homes. They're easy to get into, less of a down payment, maybe a little bit easier to manage, right? You can even do it yourself. But it's one of the few investments that typical, ordinary, everyday Americans can leverage money to buy. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to go buy Apple stock through your brokerage account, right? You can't go to your bank and borrow money to buy that stock.
Yeah.
You walk into your banker and say, I'd like to borrow $100,000 to buy Apple stock. They're going to laugh you out of the bank, right? If you go into that same banker and say, I want to borrow $100,000 to buy an investment property that I'm going to rent out and earn money on for the next 20 years, they'll give it to you almost immediately, right? And with a lot of glee, they'll say, great, let's do this. So that's unique in of itself. You can get a larger investment for less of your own cash going into a property. And then what's even more powerful is not only are you using leverage to buy that investment, but you're leveraging other people's money to pay off that loan, right? So now your tenants are moving into the home, paying off that mortgage for you. So it's requiring less of your cash to continue to have that asset growing over time. Then, of course, there's the things we always talk about in real estate, from appreciation over time, over the long term. You're gaining more equity in that property as it appreciates and your loan payments being taken down. And you can even earn some cash flow and things like that in the interim. So I think there's just so many different tools and dynamic levers to pull when you're investing for the long term. Of course, there's strategies to invest in real estate over a shorter term, rehabbing homes and things like that. But we're big believers in buying it early, buying it often, and holding it as part of a long-term retirement strategy.
And you can get a really low 30-year fixed mortgage, which is awesome.
Yes.
Because
right now it's amazing. You can still get these rates, under 5%. Or I just read, even in today's environment, again, a lot of media articles out there about how interest rates have been rising and mortgage rates have been rising. And that's true, but we're also at a 12-month low currently right now as we film this. And so there's still a lot of opportunity for people to get out and get a great low fixed rate for 30 years. And if you're a smaller investor who owns 1 or 2 or 3 homes, you can still get really great traditional financing from your local bank for these properties and take advantage of really inexpensive money.
yeah, because like if you start buying early, like you said, and you have a small amount of appreciation, cash flow, but you reinvest money and $200 a month, but if you have 10 properties, right, over time it's going to grow.
Yeah. And the book is called Today's Key to Retirement Freedom, or Retirement Security, Financial Freedom, and the New American Dream. And the reason we subtitled it that is because I think one of the issues we face across the country today is a retirement crisis, right? All of the polling you see and all the surveys you see that come out talk about how Americans are woefully unprepared for retirement. And if you think back to the 80s, there was pensions and there was a lot more retirement security provided by your employer. All of that is but gone, unless maybe you're a government employee or something like that. You still have some great pension plans. And so it's up to us as Americans to take individual responsibility and ownership over what we're going to do to be in a secure place and our families be in a secure place when we reach that retirement age. And 401ks haven't been working out as well for people. And the stock market goes up and down depending on the news of the day right now, right? And so this is, I believe, a vehicle that if we can get people investing it in their 20s and in their 30s and in their 40s, 25 years later, 30 years later, you have those properties completely paid off. And now it's almost like an annuity, right? An annuity is something you purchase that gives you money every month until you die, right? Real estate can do the same thing for you. It can give you monthly cash flow, but the unique thing about real estate versus an annuity is it actually has an underlying asset value, which means if you have a health issue and you need more money to pay those bills, you can sell a home. If you need to send one of your kids to college, you can sell a property, right? And so a good friend of mine who we just bought his company, Own America, he's now our Chief Strategy Officer, Greg Rand, he wrote a book, and inside of it, one of the chapters was called Have a Kid, Buy a Condo, right? And I thought that was a fantastic chapter title. He says, when you have your first baby or your second baby, buy a house for each of them, earmark it as this is Joey's college fund, right? And this is Kate's wedding fund, whatever it is. And you can attach some emotion to it, keeps you excited about the investment over the long term, and is really a way to save money and earn some great returns in the interim. So I think that's a really unique idea as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I did buy a house for my kids for college.
Right.
So that's awesome. You mentioned that you just acquired another company.
Yes.
And tell me more why, because now you leverage in technology, right?
Right. So we bought a company called Own America, which was the second largest online marketplace for single-family rental property in the country. What that really means is on the platform, you could buy or sell tenanted single-family homes. What makes that unique and different is the fact that as an investor, you can buy a property that has a tenant in place, so day one when you close, it's cash flowing, right? Which is exciting. And as an investor who wants to sell some of your properties, you don't have to kick your tenant out or have them move out to be able to sell it on the MLS, maybe to a retail buyer. You don't have to do the rehab, maybe to bring it up to an owner-occupied standard. So you can save some money there as well. So with the marketplace, you can go on and search as a buyer, search for the type of yield you want to get, or the cash-on-cash return you're looking for, the markets you're looking for, in the price points you're looking for. So it's a really unique search tool, and it leverages technology to be able to look at properties all across the country. So if you live here in Minneapolis and maybe you want to invest in a market that might have a higher yield, you can go to the website, use the platform, find a property you like, and we can facilitate the transaction all online.
So now I want to talk more about the company. You said one of the core values is serve people.
Yeah.
So tell me what are the Renters Warehouse core values and what do they mean?
Yeah, so serve is number one, and it's not number one by mistake, right? And that means for us, again, more than just serving our customer and making it a great client experience. We work really hard every day to increase our client experience and people have a great time and really enjoy working with us. And this is a tough business to do that in, right? Property management's hard. We often have two sides of an issue that we have to work through things with, right? So if a tenant has a maintenance request and something's broken, just by the nature of the beast, owners want to spend as little money as possible oftentimes maintaining their investment because they're looking for return, right? So we're always looking for the best solution to make sure we're maintaining quality housing, taking great care of our tenants, but also watching over our clients' investment. And so creating a great, unique experience for both parties can be challenging sometimes, but that's a big focus of our team and our staff. So another one of our core values is celebrate, right? And
I like that.
yes, so that's a big one for us, and that's talking about celebrating wins with our company, right? Whether they're client wins or more importantly, just wins with our team. So whether it's a small victory of really doing a great job for a client and serving our clients, or big great months for the company, right? So celebration, recognizing employees and your peers is a big one for us. Own it is another one of our core values.
So let me ask you a question about celebration.
Yes.
So how do you find balance and how do you live this core value celebration? Like, do you celebrate like weekly, monthly, every day?
One of the
Drinking beer
right.
here in the office?
As often as we can, we like to celebrate everybody in the company.
Okay.
But a lot of this really, I think culture, core values are really, as a business owner and as some entrepreneurs, they want to create these core values and hope they permeate down into their culture. And I believe that core values really come out of who you are anyway, right? You can't just make up a new core value and then say, this is who we are now today. And so we've always had this mindset and attitude and belief in our business that we want to celebrate people and cheer on their victories and their wins. And that's inherently in our company culture. And so that's really driven by everyone who works for Renters Warehouse. And so they are pretty consistently recognizing their friends and their peers in the organization for the great things they're doing for the company or for our clients. But we do it in a very formal way as well, once a month. And so we have a couple different awards we give away on a monthly basis at our company town hall meetings. In fact, we have one coming up this week.
What do you give away?
And so there's a Employee of the Month award, and I'll talk about that here in a minute, but there's also an Agent of the Month. So in our business, we have our property management team who are what we call, they're the W-2 employees. They work for us, they earn a salary, they earn a check. And we also have our real estate agents. We have about 150 real estate agents across the country that work for us leasing homes. And so we recognize an employee of the business. We also recognize an agent of the month who's done great work for us as well. We do that nationally, and then we also go down to a local level. Having so many offices across the country, we do one of those for really our kind of our corporate centralized service model that we're at here in our Minneapolis office. And then we also do one locally for one of the offices across the country as well. And there we'll give away, gift cards, whether it's an Amazon gift card or a gift card to our company store where they can buy Renter's Warehouse apparel and other gear, things like that. Some of our office locations, we have parking spots. Minnesota, that's a really coveted thing because it's really close to the door. So when it's 30 below zero, they've got a short walk inside. And then great recognition in front of everybody as well, and a certificate, and people really get excited about it. And what's neat about the awards we give away is they're all peer nominated. And so as people see their peers and their coworkers doing great things, they'll nominate them, and they'll let us know what core value they were demonstrating, what it was that they did for either the business or our clients to be so great, and tell a little story about it. And then we'll select a winner and talk about that at each one of the meetings. And so it's just some great formal recognition and some fun things that go along with that. Once a month or twice a month, we'll also do all employee lunches, so people can come in, and rather than having to bring their lunch or go buy their lunch that day, we'll have more of a kind of a social gathering and bring people together that way as well.
Wow, that's awesome. What average age of the employees?
Our average age of our employees is probably low 30s. So we've got a real young workforce here, although it's been a lot of fun to see that kind of starting to change a little bit. We're starting to almost skew that higher. And I just love seeing multiple generations coming together and having a lot of fun working and
Do you have
solving
a
problems.
ping pong table and a beer keg?
No ping pong table, no beer keg. We're not Silicon Valley here quite yet, but it's really neat that we have our team creating just a great work atmosphere here and having a lot of fun. And I think people love coming here and enjoying going to work.
So, serving, customer, celebrating,
Yes.
what are the three?
Own it.
Own it.
Okay, and that just means take ownership, right? And this oftentimes I think gets misunderstood, right? We talk a lot about how people need to take ownership of situations, whether it's in their life or in business or at your job. And I talk to my kids about this a lot, right? You just got to take ownership of the situation, and how can you make it better? And a lot of times then it's like, well, this wasn't my fault, or my teacher did this if it's my kid's situation, or the client wouldn't get back to me on this, right? And ownership doesn't mean taking blame. Ownership means owning the solution and how we're going to make something better, right? And so that's something we talk about a lot here. And again, in property management, a lot of different things can go wrong. So we may not be able to take ownership of the core issue, but how do we own the solution and how do we move forward on that? So we spend a lot of time talking about ownership. And my favorite core value that we have is crush it. And what that just means is we're here, we're playing all in, full out every day. And that's just a fun one for us to talk about when people can recognize their coworkers for crushing it, just being out there and doing the best they can all day, every day.
And how do you communicate your core values to your employees? Do you repeat them often? Does everyone know the core values?
Yeah, I think it's important that as an organization we hire and fire on our core values, because the core values really are what make us one collective group and trying to achieve and push for the same vision and mission out there. And so we talk about them during the interview process and the hiring process. But more importantly, how we've incorporated our core values into our employee recognition and our peer recognition gets everybody thinking about them. When they're nominating their peers based on their core value, they're circling what it is on the form and indicating how they maybe lived that core value. We're also talking about it monthly at our town hall meetings and reviewing what they are and talking about what they mean to the company. And I think that's something I can frankly do more of with our team, is what do the core values mean? It's one thing to say what they are and say, great, you guys all talk about these on a regular basis, but what do they really mean? What do they mean to me? What do they mean to the company? And then it's up to our managers as well that lead our teams to have those discussions as well. So I think it's something that needs to become part of the daily conversation to remind people really what our purpose is here.
So Kevin, how many employees do you have total right now?
So we have, again, we talk about our employees kind of in two groups, our property management team and our employees that are in part of the organization. Then we have dedicated leasing agents who are more independent contractors and on a commission basis. We have about 200 and changes every day, but about 250 employees and about another 150 agents or so. So all in total, about 400 people.
Wow, 400 people.
Yes.
So now let's talk about the how you manage and lead, being a CEO and the president. How do you manage them?
I surround myself with really good people.
Okay.
And that has been something that I've put a lot of time and effort into the last 2 or 3 years, is ensuring that my immediate team are A players, people who understand our mission, believe in the company, believe in our core values, live our core values, and are accountable to them. And at the end of the day, it's, you have to have faith and trust in those around you and the rest of your leaders in the organization that you're going to go execute, because there's obviously no way in heck I could understand what's happening with 400 people across the country, especially given we're across 25 different states. And so that was really important, is just building that right team, spending a lot of time hiring and developing and leading a great immediate leadership team. And then also working, as much as I can when I'm in the office, or when I'm in our office here, our home office in Minneapolis, or as I'm traveling across the country, getting out and talking with our team on the ground and sharing my values and my vision for the company and trying to interact with folks as much as possible. But really to lead that big team, it comes to one of my mentors, Jocko Willink, who wrote a book, Extreme Ownership. He spent a lot of time in the Navy SEALs, and he talks about decentralized command, right? Which means you can't make all the decisions, right? The decisions need to be put into capable hands of those people who are going to make good decisions, and be held accountable for those decisions. And as we grow, that's certainly been something I've had to take advantage of and learn how to do as entrepreneurs, especially someone who started a business with a couple people in the office to now growing to over 400 people. It's certainly a big change from really being involved in every decision, knowing what everyone's doing, to trusting that things are being done in the right way is a big gap, and something that I had to, and I still have to work on, but I had to consciously make an effort to develop that skill.
Wow, that might be a really, really hard job to manage 400 people in different locations, in different time zones. That's unbelievable. So who else you look up to? Like you mentioned one mentor, but who are the mentors?
Yeah, one of my biggest mentors, I think, in my life, aside from my father, of course, who just ingrained fantastic work ethic and a lot of other things in me, and will forever be appreciative to him and my mom for that. But outside of that, Darren Hardy is probably one of my closest mentors, biggest mentors out there. I just really respect the material he puts out, and I've done a lot of courses with him. And he talks about real estate. He used to be in real estate, so he kind of has a real estate tilt to it, but really focuses big on just entrepreneurship and being kind of whole life success, not just business success, but whole life success. So Darren Hardy's one. Jocko Willink, I follow him a lot. Jim Rohn, no longer with us, but read all of his books and listen to his audio and things like that. So a couple different ones out there that I've been, working with and listening to for the last several years.
What are the biggest 3 lessons, leadership lessons? What you learned?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I think there's probably way more than 3. I'll try and think if I can think of the top ones and narrow them down. Role alignment with people, right? As you're onboarding all these people and you're hiring people, something that I didn't do a good enough job on early on, and maybe even more recently than early on, was really being clear on what the role expectation is of whatever you're hiring that person for. And so I've since implemented some things in the business that we call a role alignment card, whereas I'm envisioning what it is we're hiring for and what that position is, what's the function in the business, what's the mission of that, what are the core values of the business, but also what are the competencies we need in that position, really on one sheet of paper. And as you're interviewing people or as you're doing reviews with people, you can say, okay, here's what I need out of this role. Here's what I expect out of this position. Is this something you can do, right? And they review it and they say, yeah, like this is me. I can do this, and I love this, and this is exciting to me. You now have a kind of a contract and understanding of what you need, right? And as things start to go sideways, it's easy to come back to that and say, remember, these are the most important priorities for me of this position. And being able to get real clear with people on what your priorities, as whether you're a leader of an entire business or a leader of a division or a department, if you have people reporting to you, having clear communication on what the key priorities are of you for that role is very important, and I think makes leadership much, much easier. So that's one that I've been working on still to this very day and learning, but that was one. And I think hiring slow and firing fast is important. We hear that a lot, and it's kind of sounds cliche, but it's also really important. Spending time, again, getting clear around what you expect out of a position and who might fit that role really well, and then interviewing a lot of people. And I think entrepreneurs generally rush the hiring process.
Yeah,
right?
that's like, how do you find the right balance? Because you have to grow rapidly.
Right.
You have to have people, but at the same time, hire slow. Like, how many people do you interview on average before you accept?
Yeah, so hiring slow is so hard, right? I've had a ton of problems with this. I still do. I have to remind myself of the advice I give other people all the time, which is hire slow. And the amount of people I interview certainly varies, but I think oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we hire people we like, right? And we're like, oh, that person's just like me. Oftentimes you don't want the person who's just like you, though, because you need different skill sets, right? Because at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs or business leaders, we aren't the best at everything. Sometimes we think we're the best at everything, right? But we need to say, great, this is a weakness of me. This is something I don't like to do. I need to hire someone to do it. And that person might not be like you, right? So having people help you interview that understand the needs of your business and doing multiple interviews, doing group interviews, or at least 2 or 3 different interviews with this person is important. People you trust and getting that feedback. And no matter how much you think the first person you interview is the right person, I recommend people interview at least 2 more to really see what else is out there.
How does your process work right now?
So fortunately for me, I'm not involved with all of the hiring at the business, and so I don't hire nearly as many people as kind of some of the next levels down in the organization. But when I'm hiring for my immediate team, or when I'm involved in key positions throughout the company, by the time they meet with me, they've already had some interviews with several other people in the organization. So it really starts with the recruiting, right? And putting the right job ad out there, putting the right job description out there to attract the right people. And I think that's a way to start filtering some of it right out of the gate, right? Is to talk about what it is you're looking for in the position, how they apply specifically. And I like to use that how to apply very specific rules to find out how interested someone really is. There's I think, a lot of people out on the job boards, a lot of people out looking for work, and they're just spamming out their resume to every job description they see. And if they skip that step, I don't even look at it, right? You've got to apply just the right way. I know you can follow details and pay attention to details, but I also know you're actually really genuinely interested in applying because you've read the role and read the description. So that helps filter some of that out. And then we'll do a short phone conversation with people to understand if they might be a fit. We'll invite them in for in-person interviews, and generally there's 2 or 3 of those interviews and a conversation then at the team level or at the executive team level, depending on where the hire is in the organization, on is this person a fit for our business? And again, it goes back to really hiring first on core values. We can train most of the skills we need in the business. And so hiring for fit in the business with the team, with the peers, I think is super important. And again, it goes back to the fact that like this can't be rushed. Generally, every time I rush a hiring decision, I regret it, right? And it takes more time over the course of your year or your month to redo it all, right? So slowing down, and you asked, how do you do that? It has to be such a high priority for you, and you have to put that focus and that effort and that work into it. And it's not fun. It's not one of the fun things we do. I don't know many people who love interviewing and hiring people. Some people probably do. I don't. But it's something that we need to focus on and force ourselves to do.
Okay, so you mentioned 2 lessons. What is the third one?
2 lessons, and I think the third one is don't forget about the basics and the foundation of a business, right? And what I mean by that is it's so exciting to scale a business quickly, right? You've been through some of this. Your business is growing fast, and you've got a wonderful business, and it's great. Like great, we're seeing success. We're adding employees. We're adding people. We're adding customers. We're impacting people's lives. That's amazing. We ran into a time in our business where we outgrew our systems. We outgrew our capacity to do a 5-star job. And we had to backtrack and fix some of the foundational aspects of our business, from what our technology platform was to how our business was organized, and how we served the client. And so as you grow a business, and this is one of my biggest pieces of advice to entrepreneurs, especially if you're growing a fast-growing business, is to make sure you're not forgetting about the blocking and the tackling and the fundamental things. In our business, pretty basic fundamentals: collect rent, coordinate maintenance and make sure the home's being maintained in a great way, do some accounting for people, and lease homes and lease them quickly to great tenants. In my business, we can't lose focus on those 4 things and ensure that those things are rock solid, excellent, while everything else is going on. It might be chaos growing the organization, but ensuring that your team has the right tools, that the tools are scalable, that your processes are evolving and scalable as your business grows is very important. We overlooked that for a while growing because there was, hey, let's go open here and open here and open here and open here. And our technology broke down because it wasn't scalable. Our processes broke down because they weren't scalable to the level we were moving the business. We had to pause, work backwards a little bit and say, okay, let's rebuild these things. And we actually purposely slowed our growth and said, let's go back, fix these basics, get the foundation strong again, and then continue to grow. So paying attention to those foundational business, whatever those pillars are in your business, how you deliver your service, and ensuring you're taking great care of your clients. And then if you are planning on growing a big business, ensuring that decisions you're making early on around technology, processes, people, organizational chart development is designed to be flexible to scale in the long run, rather than a quick fix solution. Really important.
What was the toughest decision that you ever made as a CEO and president?
I think there's been a lot of them. I can't think of the toughest, but the toughest decisions for me are genuinely around people. And I think that entrepreneurs and business leaders, that's oftentimes the toughest decision, right? And that's usually letting someone go. And oftentimes in a business, especially a growing business, we have to let people go simply because we're at a new place in the business. And there's the old saying of those who got you where you are aren't necessarily going to be the ones that get you where you're going. That can be a tough pill to swallow, right? I built this business with a lot of great people, a lot of people who were friends before the business, who became great friends during the time we were together. And several of them we've had to part ways over the time the business is growing. And for one reason or another, we had to do that. And those are always really tough decisions.
So what did you learn?
I learned that I'm always going to have to make those decisions, and that's always going to be a part of the business. I think a key role of a leader is to continuously be looking at your team and being intellectually honest about the fact of, is every person on my team the best person for that role today? And that's going to change over time. And people, great employees, great leaders, are going to continuously try and elevate themselves and develop themselves into that next peer person. So some people can do that, and some people either don't want to do it or can't do it. And so constantly evaluating the talent on your team, ensuring that you have the very best in each seat possible, is important. And then once you make that decision that maybe it's time for a change, make it quickly. There's certainly been times in my career where I've probably pushed that decision off a little bit too long. That's probably the biggest learning lesson for me.
Kevin, what's going on with the technology? What is the latest technology that you guys use that helps you to be more efficient and serve clients better?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we recently, like we talked about, just acquired some consumer-facing technology, which makes our client experience second to none. Some great technology for consumers to be able to sort homes, and we talked about that. From an internal perspective, we've tried to stay on the cutting edge of technology as we've grown the business, and we have some really exciting stuff happening now. We are about to launch our new proprietary property management software. So right now, today, we've operated the business on an off-the-shelf program for the last 12 years, and we've really outgrown it. It goes back to outgrowing technology and not having something that's flexible enough. We're still now just getting out of that situation, and so we're rolling out a platform that's built on the Salesforce technology, so very well-known technology, robust technology, and we've been for the last 6 months customizing that platform to do all of the things we need to do on the back end managing a property. So our team will be able to operate out of one platform, one system with a lot more automation, a lot more communication with our customers and our clients. And I think it's just going to make the efficiency of our business compound in a dramatic way. So we're really excited about that. And we also continue to develop and update our listing syndication tool. So 6-7 years ago, we built a tool called Rent Feeder, which was for us essentially a listing syndication tool where our agents could list a home one time on our platform and it syndicated out to a network of over 200 rental sites. So we still have that technology in-house today, developing that, adding on to that, adding more automation and things like that. For us, that technology that we're always trying to build is about adding efficiencies to the business to make our employees' life easier, their days easier, add capacity to what they're being able to do, but also ensure that the experience is the best possible for our clients as well.
How do you envision the future 3-5 years down the road with the development of AI and VR? So like, what's your future prediction? Like, what we'll see 3 years from now?
I think technology is evolving at such a rapid pace. It's almost crazy, right? And almost scary at sometimes how fast things are evolving and what's possible in technology. But I think it seems like real estate's always the last place to get technology investment. I don't know why, but we're starting to finally see a lot of Silicon Valley investing in technology for the real estate space. And to your point, using the Internet of Things from smart home technology to virtual reality in certain ways. So that's actually something we're looking at now is how we're going to be able to leverage virtual reality down the road so tenants can view homes without having to go view the home.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So I think that could be really exciting. There's nothing out there that does that yet in the mainstream. But as we develop our technology, we try and keep these things in mind. And so being able to tour a home without having to go to the home is something I think it would be pretty interesting and really make this business very efficient. We also are looking at how we can protect our clients' assets through the Internet of Things, whether it's smart thermostats or smart locks, or make our maintenance technicians' jobs easier by being able to maybe analyze an issue before they go to the home. Keyless entry to be able to get into the property, easier. So those are some of the basic things. I think a challenge with this business, property management specifically, is I don't believe there's ever going to be a time where it can be fully automated. There's people out there trying to do it. They're saying, we're going to build a property management platform that's so robust and so great, it really doesn't need people involved. But ultimately, I think this is a people-driven business, and technology won't replace it, but it'll enhance it. And we want to be a technology-enabled business to make our employees' lives easier, to make things more efficient, and to make more transparency with our clients. But I don't think you can remove the people component, which is why it's so important for us as we focus on technology to also focus on making sure we're hiring the best people we can hire and offer more training to our teams to just be smarter and be better and more comfortable and competent in what they're doing.
Well, Kevin, what would be your best advice to people who, let's say, who want to build a business like yours, like to have 400 people manage? What would be your advice?
Get started, right? Is always the first one. I talk a lot about that in real estate investing. People say, how do I get started in real estate investing? I say, well, you got to get started, right? Too many people overanalyze those kind of things. And I think if you're in the right position in your life and you're able to take that leap and say, I want to be an entrepreneur full time and I want to grow a business, do it, right? That doesn't mean be reckless about it. It means make sure that you're working towards a goal. And at some point, you need to take the leap and get started. But after that, you just have to constantly learn and develop. No matter how smart you think you are, how much you might know, there's so much more to learn. And I think you can learn a lot about somebody's and forecast a lot of someone's success in leadership or entrepreneurship or business by going to their house and checking out their library, right? What books are they reading? What are they putting into their mind to help them solve the challenges that they're going to come up with every day? There's new challenges every day in any business, in any entrepreneurial journey. So finding other people's advice, finding mentors, finding great books, audio programs, podcasts, information is so abundant today but you have to be able to consume it, and you have to then do something with it. And so that first step of consuming it and being a lifelong learner and a lifelong person committed to personal and professional development, I think that's the biggest piece of advice I could give people, because it just changes the game. The more knowledge you have, the better potential you have, right? Again, old saying, knowledge is power. Well, knowledge isn't power really anymore, because knowledge is free flowing across anywhere. If knowledge was power, everyone across the United States would be a millionaire, because you can learn anything you want in 15 seconds by Googling it on your phone. But you have to actually do something with that, right? So knowledge is potential power. You get that information, you can go execute on those decisions. And if you're willing to learn and willing to take on new ideas and try new things, you're going to be a success.
You mentioned books. I love reading books. So what's on your nightstand?
Number one book, my favorite of all time when it comes to personal and professional development, is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. One of my mentors. Love that book. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand is my favorite novel that I read frequently. And then I'll give you a third one. This is a more recent discovery for me, but it's the Miracle Morning. And it's about what you can do every morning when you get up to start your day to set yourself up for success. And it was a great, for me, life-changing book. It talks about morning and evening bookends. And so that was a great one I read last year as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for great interview. Yes. We had Kevin Ortner, the CEO of Renters Warehouse. I really enjoyed the interview. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.